SCP-shorten, Part 3. Begin. SCP-610, the flesh that hates. Object class, Keter. Okay, so for once, this SCP isn't a monster, or a group of monsters, or a species of monsters. No, this is well, it's a whole virus. SCP-610 is a skin disease plaguing a part of Europe. And basically, what it does is first, you start having rashes. And then, you start itching those rashes. And then, your pain sensitivity grows up. And at this point, you die. Then 3 minutes later, because this usually takes 5 hours, 3 minutes later, you come back to life, and the fleshy things just start growing over all your body. And then, you start to deform. You grow out extra limbs, most of the time become hostile. Trying to infect anyone. Or you could be the more unlucky side, and just be rooted to the ground while growing on all other objects, including the walls. And here's the thing, this SCP is, just like 106, uncontainable. The best thing we're doing right now is locking the infected areas away. If it enters a cold area, it takes more time for it to go through the stages. But if it enters in a hotter area, it takes less time. Going to 5 hours to 5 minutes. SCP-999, the tickle monster. Object class, safe. This means the SCP is easy to contain. Although, it doesn't actually mean this SCP is fully safe. And they could still be a threat to the world. Or you just are easy to contain. SCP-999 is a orange blob of amazing jello, able to melt into puddles. This SCP is actually extremely happy and nice, and will even take a bullet to save a human's life. This SCP has a pacifying effect to almost every single SCP, including SCP-682, which if you watch Part 1, you should know it hates all life. So you can probably guess that did not end well for the orange slime. We thought he would die. But the orange slime basically is actually allowed to roam the world. Well, not the world, but the Foundation sites. But there's more story to it than you think, and I'll talk about that later, or in another episode. SCP-073, Object Class, Euclid. Like SCP-999, this SCP is nice and non-harmful, as well as being allowed to roam the facility. This SCP causes any soil grown plants to die in a 20-meter radius of it. And that's why it don't eat meat. But things that were made out of soil grown items will rapidly decay before disappearing. SCP-073's arms, shoulder blades, spinal cord, and legs are made out of an unknown material suggested by 073 itself to be beryllium bronze. SCP-073 has nearly photographic memory, which is why we use him to be an extra memory bank. SCP-073, when hurt, will have the pain redone. So if you shoot it, you get the bullet wound, but it still feels the pain as well. It's also been confirmed SCP-076 is its brother. SCP-073 is Cain from the Bible, and 076 is Abel from the Bible. Speaking of which, segue. SCP-076. Object Class, Keter. Nickname, Abel. SCP-076 is comprised of two parts. A box made of unknown material and a humanoid person inside. The box has a coffin inside it made out of the same material, which should locate 076-2. Abel. 076-2, when breaking out of the box, will seek the nearest human, which will enter a rage state and will kill all humans around it, and ignore other creatures. In fact, we nearly used it to help the mobile task force. There's Pandora's box. But that didn't work out well when we started running out of things to give it to kill. But this SCP becomes nearly indestructible, and he's a superhuman, able to swap bullets out of the air using an iron pipe and its own force, rip down a reinforced iron door in under 2 minutes. It's survived 2 hours where it's being put underwater. And one of the survived with it. Nearly survived an explosion. Activated in its rib cage. He were there nearly. But not only this guy's a superhuman and dangerous, he can literally bring swords out of these different pocket dimensions. But he does it so fast, it's almost like it's appearing in his hand. the shortened body disappears right after there's 076-2 dies. And then we wait a couple years for its body to grow. But it can be from a couple of days to 25 years. So that's what makes us scared. You don't know when he comes out. And that should be it for today. Able was a pretty long one, so we may have gone over the 2 or under 2 minute mark. So, goodbye.